What happens when a wedding cake reveals a dynasty's darkest secrets? Can love rise from the ruins of lies and betrayal? But before we start, let us know where you're watching from. If you like this story, please guys subscribe to Story Store, hit the bell icon, and if there is something you dislike, please comment below and let us know. Thank you. The grand chandelier trembled as the voices clashed below, its crystals catching shards of golden light. At the center of the chaos stood the groom, red-faced and furious, his fist slamming onto the long, ivory-covered banquet table. Plates clattered and glasses wobbled precariously. "This is not our cake," he roared, pointing at the towering confection gleaming under the opulent lights. "Where's the gold filigree? The sugared orchids from Ecuador? Who made this disaster?" A stunned hush swept through the elegant guests, their pearls and silk gowns suddenly heavy with discomfort. At the far end of the room, a young baker's assistant with flower-streaked sleeves froze, his face pale as buttercream frosting. I delivered what was on the order slip," he stammered. "This was the address they gave me." The bride's mother, regal and fuming, cut through the crowd like a battleship through fog. Her diamond necklace quivered as she hissed, "This is a deliberate insult. The Farnsworths will not be humiliated today." Whispers swept through the room, swift as wildfire among financiers and socialites who thrived on gossip. The midnight blue cake stood defiantly, beautiful yet wholly wrong, a symbol of an impending disaster no one saw coming. And it was only the beginning. The cake was mesmerizing. Deep midnight blue fondant adorned with shimmering silver constellations, a stark contrast to the gilded extravagance the Farnsworths had demanded. It bore a mysterious inscription, "To new beginnings beneath the stars." Elegant but utterly wrong. As guests whispered and fidgeted, a man in a tailored navy suit glided through the crowd, his sharp eyes flicking between the cake and the bride's mother. "Interesting choice," he said smoothly, a knowing smile on his lips. "And who are you?" she demanded, voice icy. "Nathaniel Graves," he introduced himself. "Let's just say I've been following Farnsworth affairs for some time. This cake might be the least of your worries." The bride's mother narrowed her eyes. "What are you implying?" Nathaniel's gaze hardened. "Irregularities, accounts offshore, hidden dealings." The room tensed. "Perhaps we should cut into the cake," Nathaniel suggested. "See what secrets lie within." The tension was palpable as Nathaniel seized a gleaming knife from the banquet table. Gasps rippled through the room as he drove the blade into the cake's velvety layers. Guests leaned in, curiosity overcoming decorum. As the cake split open, chocolate ganache gleamed, but something else emerged. Nathaniel pulled out a sealed envelope, stained faintly with frosting. The bride's mother lunged for it. "That's private!" Nathaniel dodged smoothly, tearing it open before the stunned crowd. His eyes scanned the contents, his expression darkening. "Well, well," he murmured, holding up the letter. "A marriage certificate, but not for the bride and groom." Shock rippled through the room. "This is absurd," the bride's father blustered. Nathaniel's voice was cold. 30 years ago, your name, alongside someone not your current wife." Silence gripped the room, shattered only by murmurs and shifting alliances as secrets unraveled. The room held its collective breath as Nathaniel plucked the sealed envelope from the cake's velvety layers. Frosting clung to the edges, but the message inside was untouched. His eyes flicked over the contents, darkening with each word. "This can't be real," the bride's mother gasped, her voice faltering for the first time. Nathaniel raised the letter for all to see. A marriage certificate, dated 30 years ago, and signed by none other than the bride's father and a woman who is most certainly not his current wife. The bride's father paled. "This is a forgery," he shouted, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. A wave of disbelief rippled through the elegant guests. Whispers bloomed, fueled by scandal and curiosity. "How dare you?" the bride's mother hissed. Nathaniel remained unmoved. You'd be amazed at what a little digging uncovers. Financial fraud, secret dealings, and now this. The bride, trembling, clutched her bouquet as though it might tether her to reality. "Is this true?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Her father opened his mouth to deny it, but faltered under the weight of the room's accusing stares. Nathaniel's voice sliced through the chaos. The cake was just the beginning. Pandemonium erupted. Guests clamored, alliances fractured, and accusations flew like shards of shattered glass. The bride's father, pale and sweating, struggled to contain the damage. "This is a setup," he insisted. "You can't believe this." But the damage was done. Whispers spread like wildfire through the socialite crowd, each rumor sharper than the last. Nathaniel's gaze was cold. "Secrets have a way of coming to light," he said calmly. The bride, tears streaming down her face, turned to her father. "How could you?" she demanded. "Everything we are is built on lies." Her father's shoulders sagged. "I did it for us, for the family." "What family?" she whispered bitterly. "We're nothing but ruins." As chaos reigned, the baker's assistant slipped quietly through the service door, heart pounding. In the shadows beyond the estate, destiny waited, cloaked in secrets yet to be revealed. The baker's assistant ducked into the cool night air, breathless and bewildered. He hurried down the narrow alley behind the grand estate until a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman cloaked in deep indigo, her face obscured by darkness. "Did you deliver it?" she asked urgently. He nodded, his voice shaky. "They found the letter, but what does any of this have to do with the cake?" She smiled faintly. "Everything, my dear. Truth needs a stage, and tonight that cake was the spotlight." Sirens pierced the night, their wailing echoing through the alley. The assistant's heart raced. "What now?" he asked. "Now," she said cryptically, "the Farnsworths crumble." As she vanished back into the shadows, the assistant stared after her, questions swirling in his mind. The night was far from over, and neither was the chaos that cake had unleashed. Inside the ballroom, pandemonium continued as police officers pushed through the stunned crowd. The guests parted, their faces masks of shock and disbelief. The lead officer approached the bride's father. "We have a warrant for financial fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to cover up a decades-old crime. This is outrageous," the bride's father bellowed. "You can't do this." But his bluster faltered as the officer handed over the paperwork. "You've already done it to yourself," the officer said coldly. The guests whispered behind gloved hands, their alliances shifting with every new revelation. The Dynasty, once a fortress of wealth and influence, was crumbling before their eyes. As the police escorted the bride's father away, Nathaniel watched impassively. Secrets had been revealed, and the empire built on lies was finally collapsing. "This is only the beginning," he murmured, his gaze steady as the wreckage unfolded. The bride, trembling and tear-streaked, stood frozen amidst the chaos. Nathaniel approached her, his expression softened by empathy. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way," he said gently. She shook her head, her voice breaking. "Everything I knew was a lie. My family, my future, gone." "Not gone," Nathaniel said quietly, "just different. You can choose something better." The bride's mother glared from across the room, furious and unyielding. "You'll regret this," she spat. Nathaniel ignored her, slipping a folded note into the bride's hand. "Meet me tonight. There's more you need to know." She looked at him, unsure but desperate for answers. As the chaos swirled around them, a spark of determination flickered in her eyes. The Farnsworth legacy might have crumbled, but she was ready to rise from the ashes, on her own terms. Later that night, beneath a canopy of shimmering stars, the bride met Nathaniel in a secluded garden. The air was cool, filled with the scent of blooming jasmine. "I don't know what to do," she admitted, her voice fragile. Nathaniel's gaze was steady. "Your father's sins run deep, but they don't have to define you. You can break free." "How?" she asked, searching his face for guidance. "By choosing love over legacy," he said simply. "Build a future that's honest, without the weight of secrets." She looked up at the stars, their light unwavering. For the first time that night, her breath steadied. "I'm ready," she whispered. Nathaniel smiled faintly. "Then, this is your beginning." As they stood beneath the vast sky, the bride felt a sense of peace. The dynasty had fallen, but from its ruins, a new path awaited her. As dawn broke, the bride made her decision. The Farnsworth dynasty was no more, but from its ashes, something new would rise. Honest, unburdened by secrets. Nathaniel watched her walk away, hope glimmering in her eyes. The cake, the scandal, the heartbreak, it had all led to this moment. Beneath the fading stars, a new chapter began.